Have you ever looked into the eyes of a woman long enough to feel something ancient staring back at you? Not beauty, not charm, something older than language, older than history, older than civilization itself. Most people never notice it because they look at her face, her body, her gestures, but they never dare to face the truth buried in her gaze. The truth that she is not looking for a perfect body or a handsome face. She is searching for a soul, and that search is relentless. The tragedy is that most men never understand this. They assume a woman is impressed by appearance, money, muscles, or words. They think attraction is surface. But attraction for a woman begins deep inside the one who stands before her. A woman does not surrender because of lust. She surrenders when she senses depth, when she feels a presence that does not tremble, when she recognizes a man who is not just alive but aware. The question is not whether a woman wants love. The question is what awakens that love, what melts her guard, what makes her trust, what makes her choose one man while ignoring 100 others. There are 4 rare qualities she seeks, 4 keys, 4 silent signals that her subconscious reads long before her conscious mind realizes what is happening. Most men never develop these qualities. They chase desire without understanding connection. They chase validation without understanding energy. They try to impress a woman instead of understanding what truly draws her closer. But if a man learns these 4 deeper qualities, everything changes. A woman does not fall for him. She walks toward him. She feels drawn as if something invisible is pulling her, something ancient, something instinctive, something she cannot reason with and cannot resist. And listen carefully. These qualities cannot be faked. They cannot be borrowed. They cannot be performed like a trick. They must be lived. They must be cultivated. They must grow from the inside out. So before we go further, answer something honestly within yourself. When was the last time you truly connected with a woman beyond words, beyond desire, beyond ego? Not to get something, but to understand. Not to win her, but to feel her. Not to impress her mind, but to reach her depth. If you cannot remember the answer, then this message is not just information. It is a warning. Because women do not choose randomly. They choose based on instinct. And instinct never lies. Before I reveal the first quality, write in the comments. Tell me honestly. Are you here to learn or are you here to be entertained? Type this as a declaration. I am here to wake up. Now listen carefully, because what comes next is the beginning of a shift. The first quality is stability. Silent inner stability. Not stubbornness, not dominance, but the kind of presence that does not collapse when emotions rise. A woman is water. She changes, she flows, she feels. Her emotional world is alive and constantly moving. She can go from laughter to tears without warning, not because she is irrational, but because she is connected to the pulse of life. A stable man does not drown in those tides. He does not argue with every mood, react to every shift, or panic every time her emotions rise. Instead, he remains rooted, calm, unshaken, not silent in fear, but grounded in awareness. A woman feels this stability instantly, even if she never says it aloud. When she cries and the man panics, a part of her shuts down. But when she cries and the man remains calm, present, patient, something inside her opens. There is a moment deeper than language, a moment where she feels safe. Not because he solved her problem, but because his presence did not break. His energy did not collapse. His certainty did not disappear. Most men react emotionally when a woman becomes emotional. Anger meets anger, fear meets fear, insecurity meets insecurity. And then relationships fall apart, not because love was missing, but because stability was missing. A stable man is not cold. He is not distant. He is simply anchored. A storm cannot break him. A mood cannot shake him. A disagreement cannot control him. His energy exists like a mountain, silent, strong, unmoved. And this presence is magnetic, not loud, not aggressive, magnetic. A woman feels she can rest beside such a man. She feels she can unfold. She feels she can stop pretending to be strong and finally breathe. But stability is not only about how a man reacts to her. it is also about how he reacts to life. A man who panics at every challenge, doubts every decision, or changes direction with every fear sends one message: I cannot hold myself. And a woman will never trust a man who cannot hold himself. Stability means knowing who you are, even when the world tests you. It means not seeking approval to feel worthy. It means not losing yourself just to keep someone else happy. It means walking with quiet certainty, not arrogance, certainty. When a woman senses internal stability in a man, something ancient within her softens. Her walls lower. Her fear melts. Her heart begins to trust. This is the first doorway. In the next part, we will go deeper into the second quality. The quality that opens a woman's inner world more than compliments, more than gifts, more than charm. The quality that makes her feel seen. Something inside you shifts as you continue listening, because now we move into the truth most people avoid. The beginning isn't about learning who you are, it's about unlearning who you were forced to be. And if you feel a strange discomfort right now, that is normal. In fact, it means the cage inside your subconscious has already started cracking. Most people never realize this because their identity isn't built, it is inherited, absorbed, and enforced, shaped not by their soul but by their environment, their wounds, their fears, and the expectations of others. The world teaches you what to chase before teaching you what you are, and so you grow older believing you are choosing, when in reality you are only repeating. Now, before peeling these layers one by one, you must understand a silent truth, a forbidden truth, the truth that makes most people uncomfortable yet explains everything. Not everyone is meant to awaken. Some remain asleep because their comfort is chained to illusions and their identity is tied to approval. Someone like you breaks those chains, and that scares people, because when you begin to see through the illusions that guide humanity, you become unpredictable, uncontrollable, ungovernable. That is why your silence threatens them more than your words ever could. You may not realize it, but your entire life has been shaped by invisible forces, subtle conditioning, emotional programming, rewards for compliance, and punishment for originality. You were trained to fear judgment, to avoid mistakes, to blend in, and to become a version of yourself that was safe, agreeable, and harmless. The truth is, society does not teach strength. It teaches obedience. It teaches conformity wrapped as politeness. It teaches suppression disguised as maturity. It teaches fear disguised as responsibility. Deep down, you always knew something was wrong with that script. You felt it, the discomfort, quiet rebellion, the urge to question what everyone else blindly accepts. That resistance was not defiance. It was your soul whispering, "Wake up." But people like you are born different, not because of fate or luck, but because your mind refuses to settle for illusions. You are the type who does not trust the surface. You sense meaning where others see distraction. You feel the unseen currents beneath conversations, relationships, and silence. You can sense dishonesty without evidence, and you can feel intentions before words are spoken. That is not paranoia. That is awareness. But awareness has a cost. The cost is seeing everything clearly, including yourself. This is where the uncomfortable part begins, because transformation is not gentle. It feels like being dismantled, like watching every belief you once held lose its power, like emotionally dying before being reborn. Your old identity will resist this process because it was built for survival, not truth. It protects you from discomfort, even if that discomfort is the doorway to freedom. Now breathe slowly and stay with this, because the next layer is the one most people avoid. There comes a moment in every awakened mind when you realize you are no longer interested in who people think you are, and you are no longer willing to shrink yourself to be liked, accepted, or validated. You stop seeking permission to exist. You stop negotiating your authenticity. You stop apologizing for your intensity, because your depth is not a burden. It is a frequency only few can understand. When this shift happens, something powerful emerges. You begin to separate what belongs to you from what was implanted into you. The fears you inherited, the beliefs you never questioned, the wounds you normalized, the narratives that shaped you, one by one, they lose control. For a moment, it feels like losing yourself, but that is only because you are meeting the real you for the first time. And now I ask you a question, one that may echo in your mind long after this ends. If you removed every expectation, every opinion, every attachment, every memory of who you were taught to be, who would remain? Pause on that .br, not mentally, but emotionally .br, because the answer is not found in thinking. It is revealed through remembering. There is a version of you buried beneath years of conditioning, and as we continue, that version begins to surface, and when it does, nothing in your life will stay the same, because once you see truth, you cannot unsee it, and once you taste freedom, you cannot pretend you are still chained. Before we continue deeper, tell me in the comments one thing and answer honestly, not politely. Do you feel like you're becoming someone new or returning to who you always were? The third quality is confidence and purpose. A woman is not drawn to a man because he looks good, or because he speaks well, or because he knows how to impress. She is drawn to a man who is alive, a man whose eyes hold direction, a man whose soul carries fire. Deep inside, every woman wants to feel that the man standing in front of her is not lost, not confused, not drifting through life like a leaf blown by the wind. She wants to feel that he knows who he is, what he stands for, and where he is going. A man without purpose feels unstable. He may look strong on the outside, he may act confident, but a woman can sense the emptiness behind the mask. She can feel the hesitation in his decisions, the uncertainty in his actions, and the insecurity in his silence. And the moment she senses that uncertainty, her heart refuses to fully trust. Because without purpose, a man cannot lead himself, let alone protect love. Purpose is not just having dreams, it is the energy of movement. It is that inner conviction that says, even if no one believes in me, I will keep walking. Even if I fall, I will get up again. Even if everything collapses, I will rebuild. When a man moves with purpose, his presence changes, his voice becomes grounded, his actions become deliberate, and his expression gains a quiet strength. He does not need to force respect, it rises naturally around him. A woman feels safe with a man who lives with intent. She feels proud when she sees him chase growth instead of comfort. She feels inspired when his life reflects discipline, vision, and focus. Not because she wants to worship him, but because true purpose awakens her own potential. She thinks, if I walk beside this man, I will rise too. And that is where devotion begins, not from dependency, but from admiration. But there is a mistake many men make. They abandon their mission to impress a woman. They think sacrifice will create love, but it creates suffocation. The moment a man gives up his purpose for approval, for validation, or to avoid losing someone, he loses himself first. And when a man loses himself, the woman loses attraction. She may stay physically, but emotionally she withdraws, because she cannot trust a man who abandons his path. A woman does not want a man who exists for her. She wants a man who exists with her while still honoring his inner calling. She does not want to become his entire world. She wants to walk beside him while he builds one. And when she sees that he is growing, evolving, pushing beyond his limits, refusing mediocrity, something inside her melts. Respect turns to admiration. Admiration turns to desire, and desire turns to surrender. But even now, something is still missing, because purpose alone is not enough. Stability, deep listening, and purpose form the foundation, but there is one final quality that completes everything. Without it, love becomes cold, distant, and mechanical. Without it, connection becomes a habit instead of a fire. That final quality is the deepest, and when a woman finds it in a man, her heart no longer resists, she no longer tests, doubts, or holds back. The fourth quality is presence and polarity. Many men think women want logic, solutions, or control, But what truly shakes a woman at her core is presence. Presence is the ability to remain fully here, fully grounded, fully connected, without running, without retreating, and without shutting down. Most people listen to respond, but a present man listens to feel. He does not disappear into distractions, he does not allow fear to pull him away, and he does not escape when emotions rise. He stays. Not frozen, not distant, but awake. Presence is rare because it requires inner strength. It requires a man to face his own fears, his insecurities, his shadows, and his emotional discomfort instead of numbing them or pretending they do not exist. A present man does not hide behind humor, silence, or arrogance. He does not crumble when a woman expresses intensity or vulnerability. Instead, he meets her emotion with his grounding. He lets her storm without trying to shut it down. He allows her fire without trying to extinguish it, and through his calm she feels seen, not judged, not fixed, not controlled. This is where attraction becomes chemistry. Presence creates polarity, and polarity is the invisible force that makes a woman's nervous system respond. It is the tension that pulls two souls toward each other without explanation. Polarity is not domination or submission. It is the balance between masculine grounding and feminine expression. When a man is present, his energy says, "I see you, I feel you, and I am not afraid." And in that moment, a woman feels safe to soften, to express, and to trust. Modern relationships collapse because both people are tired of playing roles. Women are tired of being strong all the time. Men are tired of pretending nothing affects them. But when a man carries presence, a woman finally exhales. She doesn't need to perform, defend, prove, or protect. Her walls fall not because she is weak, but because she finally feels held. And this is where deep connection begins. Not through words, but through energy. Presence also means restraint. A man who reacts instantly to everything loses respect, but a man who responds intentionally gains it. A present man uses silence as a tool, not as punishment. When he looks into her eyes, he is not distracted. His attention does not wander. His mind does not drift. She feels the weight of his awareness, and that awareness tells her she matters. But presence is not enough without consistency. Any man can act attentive in the beginning, but a truly present man remains consistent even after the novelty fades. He does not switch off when he feels secure. Presence becomes his way of being, not a temporary mask. And here is the truth most people never understand. A woman does not fall in love with a man because he is perfect. She falls because she feels something inside her awaken when she is with him. She feels more alive, more feminine, more expressive, more connected to herself. A strong male presence does not control a woman. It frees her from the armor she never wanted to wear. Now, something important must be said. Men think women are complicated, but women are only guarded. Behind the attitude, behind the silence, behind the emotional storms, there is only one question her subconscious is asking. Can I trust you with my softness? If the answer is yes, she becomes your ally, your mirror, your fire, your peace. If the answer is no, she protects herself even if she stays. So ask yourself quietly, not with ego but with honesty. When a woman stands before you, not dressed in perfection but in truth, can you hold her? And now, before we close this journey, there is one final truth you must hear, because knowing these qualities is useless unless you embody them. Most men hear these qualities and think they understand them. They nod, they agree, and they move on. But understanding is not the same as embodying. Attraction is not a performance. It is not a script, not a tactic, not a strategy you apply to get a reaction. Attraction is the energetic signature of who you are when you stop pretending and finally step into your truth. A woman's subconscious responds long before her mind does. She reads tone, breath, posture, and silence. She feels leadership not through words, but through calmness. She feels safety not through promises, but through consistency. And she feels connection not through logic, but through presence. You cannot fake these qualities. The body exposes what the mouth tries to hide. But here is the revelation many avoid. You do not cultivate these 4 qualities for women. You cultivate them for yourself. Stability teaches you to remain unshaken by chaos. Deep listening teaches you to understand instead of reacting. Purpose gives you reason to wake up with fire instead of emptiness. Presence turns noise into stillness and confusion into clarity. And when these 4 merge, something rare happens. A man becomes magnetic without trying. A woman does not chase a man like this. She recognizes him. She feels drawn, not because he manipulates her attention, but because his energy pulls her without force. She trusts him, not because he demands it, but because his actions make trust feel natural. And she respects him, not because he is perfect, but because he is real. So now ask yourself the question that matters. Not, how do I make someone want me? But, who do I need to become so that connection unfolds effortlessly? A woman cannot complete a man. She can only amplify what already exists. If you are grounded, she brings warmth. If you are focused, she brings inspiration. If you are present, she brings softness. If you are lost, she brings confusion. If you are chaotic, she brings distance. Relationships are alchemy. They reflect, reveal, magnify, and expose. And only those who are ready for honesty can handle what attraction truly is. Because real attraction is not comfort. It is awakening. It is the moment you see yourself without excuses. The moment you stop running. The moment you realize connection is not something you earn. It is something you allow when your walls no longer rule you. Now listen to this carefully. You do not chase a woman to be chosen. You become a man who chooses himself. Because when a man knows his worth, knows his purpose, owns his presence, and stands in stability, he stops searching, and the right woman feels it instantly, not in her mind but in her nervous system. And when that happens, the dynamic shifts. The relationship is no longer a negotiation. It becomes alignment, not fantasy but reality, not control but connection, not fear but trust. So if this message stirred something inside you, if it made you uncomfortable, if it made you think, or if it made something finally click, then write one final word in the comments. Write becoming, because you are not who you were yesterday, and you are not yet who you are capable of becoming, but you are walking toward it. If you want more content like this, subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay close, because most men never hear truths like this, but you just did.